Vampyr The Masquerade Bloodhunt is the latest battle royale on the block, and as such, the game is going to arrive with its own tactics, playstyles, and meta. Now, I am by no means an expert in the battle royale genre, but I have familiarised myself with these types of games over the years, and in all honesty, Bloodhunt seems like a pretty cool rendition. However, as a third-person shooter fused with vampiric abilities, there is a bit of a learning curve that players have to overcome before becoming the true slayer of Prague. Hey there everyone, it's Aaron here from Push Square, and I've only gone and cooked us up a list of tips and tricks to help you master your inner vampire. So flash those teeth, dust off those cloaks, and let's get into it. In total, there are 7 archetypes within Bloodhunt for you to choose between, with each coming with their own set of abilities that drastically change how you play. Finding the ones that suit you is paramount to success. The Enforcer, for example, is for those that love to get stuck in the action, with abilities that allow you to become invulnerable for short periods of time, or even close the gap on enemies with a powerful leaping strike. Then you have something like the Prowler, which is more of a vulture-like style of gameplay. This passive means that you can track down wounded vampires and finish them off, you can become temporarily invisible when things get heated, and you can even scout ahead with the ability that allows you to see enemies through walls. I'm not going to go through them all here today, but just experiment and find the archetype that works for you. Me personally, I was quite a big fan of the Brute for its high jumps and bullet deflecting shockwaves, but that's just me. Find your inner vampire. BR games just love their sliding mechanics, don't they? It's part of the meta in Apex Legends, Warzone has the whole slide cancel thing going on, and Fortnite, bless its soul, tried to include it as well. Well, it looks like vampires aren't averse to a bit of sliding either. In Bloodhunt, the sliding mechanic allows you to move a little faster and of course, become a smaller target. It's great for whipping past unsuspecting enemies as you pop off a couple of shots and coasting your way off rooftops to avoid fire. You should try and become comfortable with this slide because overall it makes traversal far easier and faster, and partnering that up with the powers of yours, it can make you a seriously difficult foe to take on, especially with the game's focus on movement and verticality. While it's only going to be vampires that are jumping, shooting and sliding their way around Prague, they're not going to be the only ones there. No, down on the ground level you're going to find a number of humans who are just sort of standing there for some reason. But that's good news for you, so don't question it too much, because that means that you can do your vampire duty and drink their blood. This might leave you vulnerable to attacks for a small amount of time, but you can receive gameplay perks the more you do it that make it all the more worth it. These include cooldowns to your abilities, damage buffs, and even the opportunity to earn back a lost life, so they can easily mean the difference between unlife and death. However, there is one thing to watch out for. Be sure not to break that masquerade code by using your vampire abilities in front of mortals, as this is going to activate a blood hunt where for a full minute you are highlighted to all other players, leaving you open to attack. You're really going to have to watch your back when this happens, so try your best to avoid it. All vampires have the ability to use their heightened senses, and this is actually a brilliant tool to use to save time. By pressing down in R3, you can either do a quick pulse or briefly remain in heightened vision, allowing you to spot humans, high tier weapons, and even hiding vampires. It's a great one to use in those early minutes when you scramble for decent enough weapons to defend yourself, but it's easy to forget about it after that. So be sure to keep using those senses so you can spy valuable nearby resources and come out on top. Using heightened senses is one way to solve your weapon issues in the early game, but long term, you're going to want to familiarise yourself with drop zones. Bloodhunt shirks the whole dropping out of a plain BR shtick in favour of allowing players to pick any spawn point they wish. That means that you could be spawning into an area with any number of opponents. So picking your areas, trying to stick with them, and learning the quickest way to get the best loot is essential to surviving that first wave. So get to know these areas and you'll be shooting instead of running. Some of the drop zones within Bloodhunt will have you worrying about something other than other players though. Entity areas are well guarded high tier loot zones where soldiers will actually pretty much destroy you if you aren't careful. You can go in all guns blazing if you are feeling up to it, but you could attract attention. The other option is to try and be a little bit more stealthy. It's a tad risky, but the rewards are that you'll be locked and loaded for the coming fight. Pharmacies are one of the few interior locations within Bloodhunt, and they are certainly worth visiting. If you see one of these noted by their green neon signs, go inside. You're going to find a collection of blood bags and syringes behind pictures, allowing you to easily fill up your healing slots. Just beware of additional enemies however, as opening the pharmacist will set off an alarm, although if you're quick enough, you can turn it off by accessing the blood bags and hopefully not attracting too much attention. Downing an enemy might mean almost certain death in most battle royales, but here it's only a matter of time before enemies get back on their feet. 20 seconds to be exact for a downed vampire to resurrect themselves. You could of course shoot them to finish them off, but performing a diablerie could be a far more beneficial option. Yes, it does take up a little bit more time, so it's a bit risky, but not only will it give you a nice XP boost, you'll also be able to add an extra blood resonance slot. However, just be aware that if a player does have a spare life, that they can be back, snapping up their lost loot and shooting at you within 15 seconds, so watch your back. As mentioned, Bloodhunt has quite a keen focus on verticality, with players being able to reach rooftops within seconds and jump down to street levels without so much as a scratch. Use this to your advantage. Rooftops are great for scouting out enemy skirmishes and taking some pot shots at players below. However, you can be a little bit vulnerable up there, so dipping to the streets to lose your chasing opponents can often be the smart move. Ascending buildings is really quick, so if you see a couple of vampires fighting down the street, don't rule out climbing up to get a vantage point on them, or using it to flank or drop on an enemy. This game wants you to climb up to rooftops and jump down to street level like it's nothing, so work it into your playstyle and take full advantage of those traversal mechanics. Hopefully these tips will help you become the best vampire you are always meant to be. But anyway guys, thanks for watching the video, and let me know if you've been trying out Bloodhunt this week and what you think of it so far. I've got to say, I quite like the traversal system. I think the maps are pretty cool, and playing around with those abilities is actually a lot of fun. Anyway, as always, remember to like the video, that actually does help us out quite a bit. And if you are keen to see more content like this and anything else PlayStation related, subscribe to the channel right here on Push Square. See you in the next one guys.